The mesmerizing sounds of Taiko drumming reflect the vigor of Nevada's arts and culture, and nowhere is this more in evidence than at the annual Governor's Arts Awards. For the past 31 years, this program of the Nevada Arts Council and the Governor's Office has recognized outstanding and enduring contributions to Nevada through artistic achievement and service to the arts. With Governor Brian Sandoval presiding, the 31st annual awards ceremony at Carson City's Brewery Arts Center was filled with performances, speeches, award presentations, and a special tribute to two longtime Nevada political leaders.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the 31st Annual Governor's Arts Awards. It is my pleasure to join all of you this evening at the Brewery Arts Center, and it is my honor, on behalf of our state, to acknowledge tonight's group of distinguished Nevadans whose remarkable beliefs and talents are worthy of public recognition. These are artists, educators, patrons, and organizations that never take the creative process for granted. Each recipient is acutely aware of the power of the arts and understands that the arts are an investment with dividends that are quite remarkable and keep on giving.
To learn more about those honored, we visited each of the recipients in their studio or workplace. And now we invite you to meet the remarkable recipients of this year's Governor's Arts Awards. Through her career that has spanned 3 decades, Andrea Lenz has transformed the cultural landscape of Northern Nevada.
So when I picked up the oboe, I found that one of the big challenges was no longer does your air go all over the place. You blow and it doesn't seem to go anywhere. It's got a very small aperture to go into, so it's like holding your breath all the time. And that is one of the big challenges of playing the oboe. That and this little reed, which I'm going to turn around and get for you. The double reed is one of the hardest things to play on with the wind instruments. It's very flexible, so the pitch can go all over the place, and yet everybody tunes to the oboe. I used to say that was because the oboist is the only one who plays in tune. But really, it's because you can hear the pitch so well. So that back pressure of the small reed, the fact that we have to make the reeds and that they all sound different makes it a challenge.
Now here comes the cross thread. I cross over what I've wrapped, so I'm there.
Recently retired as principal oboist for the Reno Chamber Orchestra and the Reno Philharmonic, Andrea continues to teach nonstop.
See how long that phrase is? I would go just a hair faster. Yeah.
Teaching I've been doing for years and years and years. It's so much fun to watch a student suddenly get it, whether it's playing the oboe, accompanying, or even theory lessons, which I teach too, to have them sort of see the light and see that sudden understanding of what you're trying to tell them and have it come out of their playing.
The neighborhood just south of the Stratosphere in Las Vegas is where painter and educator Mary Warner works out of her home studio.
It never occurred to me to have a house separate from my studio. I like to be able to get up and work just immediately. And I'm usually working on several things at one time. I like to work in medium that I can keep working for a while, so watercolor and oil. If I'm working in oil, I actually like to gesso and sand my ground quite a bit till it gets pretty smooth, and that's what got me to working on plaster because it's really fun to draw on. It's actually marble dust in polymer that you build up. It makes this really beautiful surface. The Nevada Museum has the biggest piece that I've done on plaster. It's 4 by 5 feet. It's called In the Garden. For me, flowers are probably the most abstract because I can kind of make them up. This particular painting, I've already put some layers down, and then I'm going back into them, and I'm getting like a lighter and lighter value scale with only hopefully a few places where it gets dark. And then I'm going to do glazes, wax glazes over that, and then cut through to the original layer, which is silver, and I hope that will work. Teaching really isn't about teaching. It's about the student learning. What I say to the student is also what I should be listening to. I think that people's idea of art is that it's fun and splashy, but really there's a lot of problem solving involved. So there's always a level of frustration and anxiety, not knowing if the thing that you see in your head is really going to be manifested. And sometimes the painting goes in a direction that isn't the original direction, but you can see a way to make it work, and so you follow that.
Once a week, the multi-purpose room at Reno's Mountain View Montessori School reverberates with the sound of drumming when Rieko Shimbo and her Taiko group, Tsurunokai, gather to rehearse.
I grew up in Tokyo, and I used to play taiko drum in Tokyo, and then when I came over here 16 years ago, I realized that it's pretty important to have a taiko drum in the community, so I made a drum, and then I met Cindy.
I met Eureka at the Obon Festival, and she was playing while we were doing our dancing, and I went up to her and asked her if she'd be interested in teaching taiko because a lot of people in our community had an interest in it. She graciously agreed, and we set up a first workshop in the fall of 1997.
There are a lot of taiko group in the United States, but not very many group is making their own drums. So our group is pretty unique. It's hard to tune it because it's not like you can change the tone. Once you tack it, that's it. So you kind of have to guess how much I should tighten it. This tacking in nicely is really hard to do.
Every drum has its own tone, so because of us playing together, the larger drums, we all have to listen as we are in sync. So that's really the key in terms of being able to listen, seeing what everyone else is doing, and becoming a team with that. That's really the nuance of us playing the drums together, so that's what makes it fun.
The great thing about our group, we all have different backgrounds. Anybody can join. Everybody here just kind of have fun. Is that how it goes?
One of Carson City's hidden treasures is Sook It's Jesch, a musician and educator who passionately shares her love of music with students of all ages.
Music is one of my favorite subjects by far. It's really fun hearing the different instruments, and playing the violin is fun because it takes a lot of skill because there's all these kinds of cymbals and they get fast and slow, and you just sometimes get kind of confused, and it's kind of funny.
There was a flyer out for string students who wanted to join in strings in the schools, and my mom showed it to me, and I was like, oh, I really want to do that because it sounded like a really fun thing and it would be a good learning experience. I've always wanted to be a music teacher, and it's just inspiring to me, music. I just love it.
I see students taking charge of their education. I see them working hard and being proud of working hard and what that end product is. And the kids are fearless. They'll just jump in and try it, you know, and they're just really a lot of fun to see their enthusiasm and their hard work, and they can do this, and that carries over to all the rest of their subjects. Orchestra was very important to me growing up. It was a place where I could express my creativity. I felt I excelled. I had instant friendships. And I want every person who has a desire to learn a string instrument to have that opportunity. And that's what Strings in the Schools has created for Carson City. The adults tend to be a little harder on themselves because they've had exposure to music. They're there to realize their dream.
I found the Suzuki School, and they said they wouldn't take me on because I was an adult and adults don't stick with anything. And that was in 1997, and I'm still sticking with it.
As you play with other people, you get better. The more you play with other people and people who are better than you, the more you improve.
Music is for life. The oldest member of the Carson City Symphony will be 95 this spring. And I think everyone should have the opportunity for music.
On Highway 50, about 4 hours from Reno, you'll come upon the historic mining town of Eureka, home of Wally Cuchine, who has overseen cultural and economic development since 1993.
I was given a great deal of free rein to come into the Opera House and turn it into my vision of the cultural arts and meeting space for Eureka. This is the original oleo curtain from 1924. We've had 12 to 18 cultural events on this stage for the last 18 years. We've had everybody who's played here sign these walls. People like Juice Newton and the Ing Quartet. Every community needs its own permanent fine art collection. People, when they have relatives or friends come from out of town, they always bring them in here. When Eureka County Courthouse was restored, they added this section onto the courthouse. Perfect opportunity to showcase some of the traveling art exhibits that come through Eureka.
Wally opens his home to visitors and artists. Some come to look at the art, some come to create.
What I did is took a single-wide mobile home, totally gutted it, and as you can see, covered the walls with the art. Most of the collection is Nevada artists, and people come and spend longer periods of time here and see my personal collection. Art is good business, but personally, living in this space has made life in Eureka such a pleasure.
Visitors who come to the Nevada State Museum in Carson City to learn about history and natural sciences could be surprised by its scope of arts and cultural features, from contemporary work to its prized native basket collection.
Although this is a personal food bowl, you can see it is very beautifully decorated. So the aesthetic elements of a utilitarian object were very important to the Washoe. You can see with Datsolali the development of an artist and experimentation with different motifs. The spotted design on this basket is not a Washoe tradition, except after Datsolali made it so right around the turn of the century with that particular basket.
The Under One Sky permanent exhibit connects contemporary and historic traditions of the native peoples of the Great Basin.
Rebecca Eagle is a contemporary basket weaver and basket beater. This basket bridges the past in terms of Datsolali's baskets, and she was a Washoe weaver, are shown in the clouds here above Lake Tahoe. Stone Mother represented by Rebecca's grandmother, who was a Washoe weaver, and finally we end up at the terminus of the Truckee River in Lake Tahoe, which is Pyramid Lake, and that's her current tribe.
A temporary exhibit featuring photography by Cliff Sagerbloom on loan from the Las Vegas Springs Preserve interprets our culture through the camera lens.
This is probably the most famous image, the Hoover Dam needle test. You may not even notice those little tiny people suspended there in midair in the center of the photo. Sagerbloom was a master artist. He worked in watercolor, he worked in acrylic. This particular one here at Berlin I like very much because it talks about just the lonely quality of the Nevada landscape. Art is a way of making sense of a chaotic world, of putting our human stamp on experience. People come to a museum oftentimes as a place of sanctuary to reflect, using art as a window into this experience of understanding the past in order to make informed decisions on the future.
The Donald W. Reynolds Foundation is recognized for its visionary leadership, supporting civic values and cultural institutions. One of the first arts organizations to receive major support was the Nevada Ballet Theater in 1994.
The Reynolds Foundation's support of arts and cultural organizations goes way back to the start of the foundation, actually, and the origination of the Capital Grants Program. They are an important part of the fabric of the community, just as other social service organizations are. We're very pleased with the success that the Nevada Museum of Art has had in the Reno community. The programs are phenomenal. We believe that hands-on discovery, experiential learning is important, and these arts organizations are great organizations for providing those opportunities.
The Discovery Children's Museum is moving and expanding thanks to the support of the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation.
The Children's Discovery Museum provides a place to learn in the sciences, in the arts. This is the place that they want to revisit over and over and over again. And we've had a great opportunity now from the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation to build a new museum and take it into the 21st century.
I'm really pleased to be here in the mock-up for one of the boxes here at the Smith Center. This mock-up is possible thanks to the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation. In fact, the building itself would not be possible without the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation. The beauty of this wonderful space, Reynolds Hall, is that in just a couple of hours we can convert from concert hall to full proscenium stage, which means there's not a performance around the world that can't find its way to Las Vegas. For us to be able to inspire people, for us to bring busloads of kids to the Smith Center, and hopefully some of them get goosebumps the same way I did on a field trip in the 4th grade. That's the real great thing about this Reynolds Foundation. But I don't think they even realize that while they're changing the community today, that our children's grandchildren are going to be affected by the great work they've done in the arts in our great state.
The 31st Annual Governor's Arts Awards ended with a special tribute to 2 longtime political leaders, with each receiving the Nevada Arts and Humanities Award for public service.
It is a distinct honor to receive this recognition, and let me say that the recognition really belongs not to me alone, but to all of those colleagues that I worked with in the Senate and in the legislature over the 38 years that I was privileged to serve. And so we worked together, and it was very important to support the arts in this state, and I hope that that commitment will continue even through these difficult times, and that somehow we will find a way to properly fund the arts in our state, because I think it's a big part of our future. So we need to be very supportive. It's a double honor and a privilege to accept this award at the same time that my colleague and distinguished friend, Speaker Joe Dini, is receiving the same kind of a recognition. I consider him to be one of the best public servants that we've ever had in this state. So we salute you.
I wasn't too interested in the arts when I started in the legislature, but my first wife, Jean, my late wife, got me started when we were trying to do the grammar school over in Yerington, and she pounded me day and night to get money for the project. And at that point, I just became more appreciative of the arts and the great art that we have in Nevada, and what it represents in the state. And it's gone forward very well. And I hope the state continues to support it. And I'm very proud of my association with the arts, and thank you again for the award.